Hello everyone, thank you for clicking on this video. My name is Max, and today I wanted to talk about something that I've never really figured out about the MCU, and that is how time travel works in Avengers Endgame. I understand the basic aspects of the idea of the quantum realm and kind of the way that they harness that to travel back in time, and the way that you have a main timeline, and then when you go back and change something or something happens, it creates an alternate timeline, which is basically a branch. I do think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. explained it in a much more clear way, but that's essentially how it works in the Marvel universe. You have a main timeline, and then when you do something different or something changes, or you simply go back, it creates another branch. So with that in mind, how does the Captain America scene at the end of Avengers Endgame make sense? That's something I have always wondered about, and I've never been able to figure it out. Because if Steve Rogers was there in the main timeline to do Endgame, and then he went back in time and supposedly lived his life with Peggy and showed up on the bench in the end of Endgame to talk to Sam and Bucky, were there two Captain Americas the whole time? That seems like the most likely situation. But at the same time, wouldn't him going back in time create an alternate branch, and that's where the old Steve Rogers would be? I don't know. It's just something that's always confused me, because we saw with everything else, like example, when Loki takes the Tesseract and he, kind of disappears from the Avengers Tower area, we know this is going to lead into Loki, and he is most likely, especially with the connection of the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, it seems like he went to a different timeline by doing that, because he was not supposed to escape at the end of Avengers, as we saw in the original Avengers film. And that created an alternate timeline where Loki is essentially going to take place, because we see in the trailer for Loki that he's able to watch how his life played out in what we assume is the main timeline, or maybe that was the branched off timeline and this created another branch. But either way, Loki is basically confirmed to be in another timeline, at least at the beginning of the Loki show. And this doesn't make sense when comparing what happens with Captain America, because he was there for all of the events, and going back in time essentially would, if they're sticking with the idea that he was always in the main timeline, undo Captain America, because he would have lived through that life as, getting older all the time, and he would not have been frozen. He would have been with Peggy. And the ages of Steve and Peggy line up when you compare how Peggy looked in Winter Soldier and how Steve looked at the end of Avengers Endgame. So I don't know if anybody can comment below and explain this to me. I've never been able to figure out the whole Captain America thing. Everything else with time travel in that film makes sense to me, but seeing an old Steve Rogers, like if he went back in time and put the stones where they were going to go, things would have generally still played out, so Captain America would need to be there. So is the timeline that we see at the end of Avengers Endgame a branched off timeline? Because that would also make more sense. I don't understand how you can have an old Steve Rogers in the main timeline where Captain America existed seconds before. So yeah, that's about all I have for now. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you like it, please like and subscribe, and comment down below if you're able to kind of clear this up for me. I'd love to have it clear so it's something that can, stop being in the back of my mind all the time. And thank you so much. So I will see you in the next video.